So what is Colorado good at right now, Ocho? Tell me one thing they're good at.
Right now, as of week two of based on what we saw, I mean, not much, honestly. I mean, they have the tools, they have the
They
tools, they
don't.
have the talent at the skill position, but where it matters most, and you know that, you know what it matters most in college, the interior.
Man, oh man, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Sharpe did not hold back on his criticisms of Deion Sanders and the Colorado football team. But before we get into it, we got to run the intro.
I went in the locker room trying. I tried to show him love. He dissed me. He threw shade at me. I'm like, what the fuck I do?
You ready, B?
You feel me? Like, if you played, he played half the clip. His little minions over here trashing me and shit. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Me,
I'm trying
young
to
B, cruising down the west side.
Nigga, who the fuck are you? Like, who are you?
The '03 Bonnie and Clyde.
He's talking about you right now. The locker room. He said all the players are trash.
So, as you all know, man, Deion Sanders and the Colorado football team, they took on Nebraska yesterday. So I tuned into the game, and I mean, things got ugly so fast that I literally just stopped watching the game and I just left and went to go do something else because it was no point in watching it anymore because Nebraska had jumped out to like a 28-0 lead. Now, they were led by a guy who's literally impersonating Patrick Mahomes. I forget the kid's name. But he did his thing. And, yeah, Deion Sanders in Colorado, Shedeur Sanders, you know, the offensive line, whatever. I mean, they were just getting manhandled by Nebraska yesterday. It was an absolute embarrassment. So, last night, obviously, Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco, they did a show on Nightcap talking about it. And Shannon Sharpe went absolutely ballistic on Deion Sanders and the Colorado football team.
And everybody, oh, it's one game. You see how you speak bad about the black coaches? No, you see how I speak true. Now I see why politicians get elected. Because people like being lied to. When I tell you the truth that Colorado can't run the football, just like they couldn't run it last year. They couldn't stop the run, just like they couldn't stop it last year. They couldn't protect Shedeur, just like they couldn't last year. He's holding on to the ball too long, just like he did last year. Oh, how did you not look at that first game and see a lot of what happened last year? How could you see it had not reared its head? And I'm not saying that North Dakota State, that's a football team, and we're going to talk about Notre Dame, how they lost to Northern Illinois, and we see Alabama was in a nip-tuck ball game late in the fourth quarter and then blow it open. So I'm not saying that. But when you look at an FCS team, and they're having success running the football, they're having success putting pressure on your quarterback. What happens when you step up in level of competition? When you go and you face teams in the Big 12, what do you think they're going to do? Because they got legit D and O line. And that's a concern. That's a concern of mine coming into the season. And
Right.
I'm still
I have a
concerned.
question. Now, from an offensive standpoint, now I think I'm not a coach by no means, but I'm just saying based off what I've seen, and you said Shedeur holding the ball a little too long. If you have an offensive line, if you have a defensive line that is continuously sacking your quarterback and applying pressure the way they are, I'm just saying from what I saw, I think they should have went to the quick game a little bit more. You know, stop spreading it out so wide, condense the formations, putting players in motion, having crossing routes so Shedeur can get the ball out of his hands and find somewhat of rhythm in that way to get the passing game going instead of having him in shotgun or having him drop back or anything over 5 or 7 step drop. Just hurry up and get the ball out fast and probably get a drive and try to get a drive going just to get the quarterback in rhythm with the receivers. But I mean, listen, I didn't know. I know Nebraska is good. I think they looked a little better. They looked a little better because Colorado wasn't able to make the adjustments necessary to compete with them. Even if they players a little better interior, in the interior. I could be wrong.
But look, Nebraska is better. Last year was Matt Rhule's first year. So normally the second year, you get the players that you really want, because a lot of times you gotta keep some holdovers. Even though it's a transfer portal, guys are gonna leave and some guys are gonna come. But you need to get your guys in there, the kind of guys that you want. You know, the offense, the defense, you know the type of player that you want. So it normally takes you a year or two to get your type players in there. But the Colorado went for it on 4th downs and they lost yards. They can't, 22 carries, 16 yards. And my thing is, look, the offensive line isn't very good. And they told us the offensive line was going to be better. They told us the defensive line is going to be better. They still can't consistently rush the quarterback, Ocho, without sacrificing their back end and bringing extra people. They can't stop the run consistently. They get gashed. Hence, they had 35 carries, $149, and 2 touchdowns. The other team, Colorado, had 22 carries, 16 yards. When you can't run the football, you can't stop the run. You can't pressure the quarterback. You can't protect your quarterback.
Tell me how you can. You can't. You can't. Out of everything you just named, you have to be good at least 3 of them. At least 3 of them. You got to be good.
So what is Colorado good at right now, Ocho? Let's be honest. We can have an honest conversation because nobody wants time to do well better than I do.
Yeah.
Because I know him on a personal level. And I know how much he's invested of his time. I know how much this means to him. So nobody wants him to do better than I do. But when you look at this, when you look at Colorado, and I need you to be objective, because I know a lot of us in the chat, we want time to do well. We want Coach Prime to do well. Y'all call him Coach Prime. I call him Time. But we want him to do well. Tell me one thing they're good at.
Right now, as of week 2, based on what we saw, I mean, not much. Honestly, I mean they have the tools. They have the tools. They have the talent at the skill position. But where it matters most, and you know that, you know what it matters most in college, the interior, your offensive line, your defensive line. If you can't stop the run, it starts up front. If you can't protect your quarterback, it starts up front. The skill position is where the money is. And now we have that.
Right.
We have that. You know, and I'm talking about they're being exposed.
So you guys just heard what Shannon Sharpe said about Deion Sanders in Colorado. Here are my thoughts, man. I'm gonna be honest, bro. Colorado is just ass. And I like Deion. I went to the game last week, the home opener against North Dakota State. I like Deion. I like Shedeur, right? I'm not a hater. I love these guys. I like Travis Hunter. I like this team. Jimmy Horn Jr. I like these guys. But we got to call a spade a spade. Colorado's trash, okay? It is what it is. I'm not convinced at this point that Deion Sanders can even coach. I just got to call a spade, and I love Deion. I don't think Deion can coach, okay? Shedeur Sanders, I was a little bit high on him last year, especially to start the season when they started off 3-0. They beat TCU and you know, they had a couple other good wins, but yeah, this season, man, I'm not really sold on Shedeur at this point. You know, I think to me, he holds onto the ball way too long. You know, he can't really move outside of the pocket. I'm just not that impressed, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado, to me, I mean, like I said, they're trash, okay? And we got to just call a spade a spade. If you're trash, you're trash. If you suck, you suck. And I think all the hype has definitely died down at this point, man. I don't feel like the interest is there like it was last year. I think a lot of people, in my opinion, are kind of over Deion Sanders and his act. You know, like I said, it was good last year when y'all were winning and you were, you know, asking reporters, you know, do you believe now? But at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think most of us, I mean, we don't believe anymore, right? You know, they're 1-1 now. They beat a FCS school in North Dakota State for their first win. They barely beat that team, and now they're, you know, in Big 12 play playing against you know, Nebraska team who isn't even ranked. And yeah, they got completely outclassed and manhandled yesterday. So how are things going to bode for Colorado moving forward? I see this being another season where they win 2, 3, 4 games, and that's about it, man. This is not a good football team. You know, Travis Hunter, he is one of the bright spots on this team. Like I said, he should be, you know, one of the top picks in the, you know, draft this coming season. But, you know, I'm gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't believe anymore in this Colorado football team. To me, you know, they suck, and you know, we just gotta call a spade a spade. Like I said, if you suck, you suck. It is what it is. So, Y'all come into the comments, man, and let me know what you guys thought about everything Shannon Sharpe said. And I will catch you guys on the next one. This was another installment of The Locker Room. Peace.